We will start with the open session. Would anybody like to say anything?
Yes.
John?
I had two things. One is about the vibrating piles. Did anybody feel vibrating piles today?
Absolutely.
Like,
Oh, they were different. They were completely different than the other ones. They're right alongside the thruway on the hill going up to.
But she felt it at our house.
Oh, no question. You're absolutely right. Wherever they come up with that machine, it is twice as loud as the regular pile.
You're talking about the piles that are on land where they're
putting in the,
yeah, absolutely.
That led me to my question of, do they have a monitor for that? I mean, that's a totally different thing. That's not noise.
No, they don't.
So
The closest monitor is the one at Salisbury Point.
Yeah, but
that thing is.
that would need a seismometer.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. So
It's an earthquake.
I mean,
That's what I thought it was. That's what I thought it was, a mild earthquake, and then we were walking at Ferris, and the neighbors said, "Did you feel that today?" I said, "Oh, that's what that was." So it was, and Gary said that really, his house was really.
because they've covered noise, right? And they've covered noise. I mean, what that certainly is a intrusive, possibly damaging to something.
Yes.
I mean, if you can feel it that far away, going past through the thruway and over to our house, I can imagine Salisbury's going to be.
Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't really, I didn't really get a whole vibration from it, but the noise, I had to get out of the house because it was so,
Really?
and it was a completely different noise
Yes.
this time around than it was the last time. Yeah,
But
it
it was
was,
the sensation
yeah.
of vibration in a chair.
Hopefully it'll be picked up by the monitor down in Salisbury, that it will show, you know, it seemed twice as noisy as
It was
the
excruciating.
normal, you know.
I'm not sure if that's going to be picked up with a noise monitor, but I think that they have restrictions on vibration.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
That's where I was
there was
going with
concern.
that.
Yeah, there was concern about, you know, if it was significant enough, obviously you could expect structure could be damaged by it. So
I mean,
there are limits.
I recall when they before they started, they were trying to send people around to
They
document
Yes.
That's right.
basements and stuff
Yeah.
like that, which
Against
would lead me
cracks.
to believe it's because of this, is they're worried that they're going to crack something and try to fend it off by saying you already had that crack or something.
Yeah, well, they sent people around to Salisbury to check each apartment for
Right.
damage, and this way, you know, to ensure that if they saw something that was damaged, it was damaged already, so we wouldn't turn
Right,
around,
that's
you
what,
know.
Yeah.
But
I guess my question is, are
What's the cap?
are they required or at all to have a seismometer type thing for this, or can we ask them?
Well, there is something about the limit on vibrations, as Alan mentioned. So they have to be able to measure it something.
The question
Right.
is though, are they
Where is
measuring it?
Where is
That's
it,
the
or are they
question.
doing it, I guess is my
Yeah.
question.
And what's that cap?
I think the website has a monitor. The monitoring website has a vibration.
A vibration one also? But where is that sensor?
It's in the same long list of the different sites.
Could we just have your name as you speak?
Oh, Greg Mitchell.
Thank you. Oh,
The issue with if they have the sensor, the seismometer,
Right.
in the instrument package, is it's pretty much decoupled from the ground. So you're not getting a good,
Right.
true vibration there. So for seismometer installations, you need to stick the thing on solid ground so that the waves that travel through the ground are picked up correctly as the instrument vibrates.
Right.
So we need to ask.
Well, there's two questions. One is what are their limits, and the other is what are they doing to make sure that they're actually measuring
Something.
measuring the field to conform to those limits. Which is the same question we have about the sound, also essentially.
Right.
Same thing.
is anybody measuring, and
Right.
if they do measure it, how do we know
Well,
what
if
the
it's on the
results are?
website,
again?
that's something. But again, if it matters also because the sound stuff is on the website in this average form, which may or may not be accurate.
And if you think the interpretation of sound data is complicated, seismic waves
Yeah.
is a whole different. People write theses on it.
Right.
I can't imagine how that sound didn't show up on the sound meter this morning, because it was completely different than any other sound.
Yes.
Yeah, completely different than any other sound I've heard so far.
And my other comment was about the workshop. when I read your, I'm not really crazy with the way they want to run that workshop, because once again, they're dividing us all up, going to little stations where each thing is presented. I mean, me personally, and I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, I would rather have it as a town board meeting where you can talk about each one, because if you ask a question or anybody asks a question over there, I'm not going to hear it, and they're not going to tell anyone else. You know, you can compound an idea and keep running with it if we all hear it. But if only one person hears it and gets his question asked and he walks away, we'll never know where that question could have gone.
Okay.
So it sounds like a possible format could be that we walk around for, say, the first hour, and then we hold a joint
A
session.
meeting where we all can hear what everybody has to say.
That happened, Andrew, in a May meeting that was held up in the Westgate, yes. And as I recall, they had that same sort of workshop idea going on, and folks in the room just wouldn't tolerate them not answering questions from the floor. So it came back to questions from the floor anyway, and it was a very good combination of seeing up close the pictures and then asking questions of individuals who were monitoring those stations, and then bringing those questions back to the main floor.
So we'll make sure they do
So
something.
something like that is helpful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So then the format would get changed?
Well, it'll be a workshop format with the ending, people will be able to ask their questions.
So the open discussion would be at the end?
Yes. Anybody else? Yes.
Yeah, I spoke to Andrew a little bit this week because I know I thought his analysis of the noise off the monitors, which has troubled me from the beginning, and I've been in dialogue with the state there, the flags for the project for several months. And I think what he made clear, and I only suggest that when I know you hired a noise man or a sound man, that when he starts,
he's an environmentalist.
right, whatever he is, you know, that he take his own readings, not simply take what they're, because they're refusing to give out raw. I asked again about for the raw data a couple days ago, and they said, well, we're thinking about it, or we'll get back to you. He take his own readings, you know, his raw.
He does have his own monitor.
Readings. Right. No, he's not just going to analyze or perhaps someone else. Also, that he's very aware of how the sound, the clanging sound of the pile driving, that it is off and on. You know, that any given day it may not appear today, or it may not appear at all. Other days it's, you know, for 2 hours here or 2 hours there, or whatever. And it always has a cycle. You know, it's like half an hour on.
Just a
half
little
an hour
brief
off.
background. Salisbury Point had hired him, and that's we got a good recommendation from them. I went to their board, and he's well aware of what we're all looking at.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I spoke with him on Friday. He's had a couple of conversations with Carla Julian. He is out of town this week, so we probably won't get anything from him started until sometime next week. He's on business with something else.
My understanding from looking at the letter that was in the packet from the last meeting is that the first project he'll have with the village is more just information gathering, not data gathering, so he's not going to set up his own equipment.
No, he's not going to do that right away. He wants to get their input first, talk to them first, and then he will take it from there.
If I can just continue, because I think it's, from my analysis, based on his analysis, I think the loud clanging from the pile driving is probably way above allowable limits. And they could say, based industry standards or whatever. And I think, in a way, you have to be a bulldog on this, because I feel, I mean, if someone was a lawyer and wanted to go to a judge for an injunction or something, I feel they're doing, it's basically illegal, that it's above state and federal limits at those peak things. But when you know the peak things are every other, for those half-hour periods, it's, I think, above limits and then not above limits. So, they'd say, well, this is industry standard or whatever. But if you were in a workplace, and you had a loud, some computer server or something next to your office, and every other second it was making this piercing noise, I don't think your boss would be allowed to say, oh, well, but the average is, below limits.
Yeah, right.
I mean, seriously.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right.
you know, I don't even live at Salisbury Point, but I live, you know, close enough to hear this, you know, every day when it's going. And I would be shocked if, particularly people closer, that it is not possibly damaging, you know, to their eardrums or equilibrium or whatever you want to say, just as you worry about the vibrations. And it is basically illegal and above the limits. So it's especially important for your sound guy, or environmental guy, to take his own readings and not, you know, and to, you know, and for you to get that raw data and not be afraid to sort of say, look, this is, yes, the average is down here, but basically at its peak moments, it is incredibly over the limits and possibly incredibly damaging. The other thing was, and I just, if there's anyone from Salisbury Point here, they told me when I asked about whether the noise and door reducing sounds are going in at Salisbury Point or anywhere, and they said the work is beginning now. I don't know if that's true or not, but they said that basically the work is beginning now. And so
if I could answer that for you.
That could be another part.
What work are you referring to?
The noise and noise reducing windows.
Oh, okay. I'll let the president speak.
So if that's, you know, I don't know if that's happening or not, but that's what they're putting out.
There are two things that I'd like just to comment on. First, that Brooke Rawson is, by his training, has a PhD in acoustic engineering, and he belongs to this environmental group of specialists. We hired him to look at both the preliminary environmental impact study, the final environmental impact study, and also the notice of determination.
To be clear, when you say you've got your Salisbury hat on.
The Salisbury Point Cooperative. Salisbury Point Cooperative in conjunction with the Key condominium complex in Tarrytown, and also the village of Tarrytown hired Brooke Rawson to do noise impact studies for them. We would not have noise monitors anywhere in this area had it not been for his persistent and diligent work on behalf of all of us. And I think now it was wise of the board to hire him to take a look at what is in fact in place. How does it really impact us? Not maybe from their standpoint, meaning the thruway and the constructors' standpoint, but how does that impact us for what's in our best interest? And that's really what he's working on now. To answer your question, Amber, that you raised, we have been in negotiations with the Thruway Authority and Tappan Zee Constructors for 2 years, and I've been actively sitting at the table negotiating on behalf of the 120 residents of Salisbury. As we speak right now, we have no money from the Thruway Authority. We're told that it is coming momentarily, and there is a very protracted way in which we have to follow procedurally for that money to be released to us for those, both the sound, acoustic windows, and we had Brooke Rawson measure, take sound readings from different levels and from different perspectives. It was on his recommendation that the windows that are being put in the community are based on the readings that would help to protect interior sounds in apartments. So yeah, he has his own equipment, he's done that. We are hoping momentarily that this money will be released, but we've been hoping momentarily for it to be released for the last 2 months.
For how many months?
Last 2 months.
2 months.
Anybody else? I'm also concerned about the air quality.
Yeah.
Could you just state your name?
My name's Pam Fanau. I live at the end of Ferris Lane. The air quality is abominable. I mean, I'm in my backyard recently and smelled so much exhaust. Walking down Ferris Lane because they took out everything. There's nothing, no buffering. You know, for the sound or the air. I don't know if anybody here has ever walked over the thruway overpass. Walking down Ferris Lane is like that now.
Yes, absolutely.
Very disturbing. I mean, the sound as well, you know, when everybody else is speaking the sound, it's abominable.
There's no question.
It sounds like 2008, right?
I don't know.
The fumes, the smell of fumes in the air is absolutely increased since the trees have been taken down. It really is to the point of sickening where you get headaches.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Would anybody else?
I think that the sensor package includes a particulate matter sensor that tracks the size of the particles in the air, like diesel fumes. But that isn't the same as odor. And so we can, if they're putting the data up on the website, we can certainly have a look at what it is if the data's being put up on the website.
I haven't seen any vibration or air.
So we have to check if they're measuring the PM stuff. I thought they were.
I saw sound, but I didn't see any. Has anybody seen either the air or vibration?
Can you get back to me on that, Andrew?
Yeah, I'll look up.
Okay, thank you.
And I believe there were caps on PM.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So.
Annie, you want to say?
Just quick, I don't know if it's on the agenda or not, but in terms of taping the town hall meetings, is that part of the communications? I just didn't want to miss it if it wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Andrew's going to go over that.
Yeah.
Okay, could I speak at that point, or am I not allowed to speak at that point? I just want to make sure.
You should probably speak now.
Okay, so basically, obviously, we've come in last week, 2 weeks ago, we taped the town board meeting, and we have about 60 people who have viewed it on YouTube without any type of promotion or anything. So in terms of the need, Dina has been obviously on the forefront of this, but we really do feel like there is a great need to have this type of information out to the public, and we feel that it's very helpful. I know people have come up to me and said, I was traveling. I think you had even said, Andrew, that it was helpful for you. You were able to watch it on the plane. So I do feel that there's a need for this type of information for the public consumption. And I think we could all make better decisions when we are inclusive and transparent. So
I think we agree with you.
Okay.
Can I go back just 1 second there and say something?
Surely.
To the people that are asking about the sound, about the vibration, and about the smell and all that other stuff, you have to realize that I'll just speak for myself, that the Thruway Authority does not come across with their information readily, and that we have a number of things, like we have asked for their sound readings and the information on the sound. And I don't know, did you ever get it, Mayor? I'm not sure if you ever did receive it. But
yes, I did send it out to the board.
Oh, you did?
It wasn't very informative at all.
Well, that's part of the problem. You know, they answer us. However, you have to go deeper with them, and you have to go with a sense of, like this man that we have hired, this Brooke Crossan. You have to go there with engineers who have the basis to understand what's going on. Otherwise, you're talking to them and they're going to double talk. I mean, that's my experience, and I just think we keep going down the road with them, and we kind of have to, it's a fight that we have to try to get the right people to analyze, and when they're wrong, when we show them wrong, then we have to take the further steps with them. Because if we're gonna depend on them to be kind to us, I think we're kidding ourselves.
I think we also should remember initially at the initial meetings that the Thruway held, we were told as a village that we would not be impacted by the sound of pile driving, and that our being Salisbury being very persistent with this, and also with community meetings that we held at that time, and people being very persistent about that. I think that led to reaction. So to have a strong turnout at these community meetings when they're held is enormously important for them to hear and for our concerns to be heard. Anybody else?
I just want to say I completely agree with Mr. Neff on his characterization and his experience with the Thruway. It has certainly been all of our experience as well, very frustrating.
honestly, it's almost like you're a wartime president and this is your wartime cabinet. And this absolutely has to take priority. And as the opponent reveals or does not reveal himself, it's your job to fight it on the fronts when they do something and when they don't reveal what they're doing. My only concern right now is I know that you submitted those requests for the raw data more than a month ago, and to Connie Bear, and whether
he did answer. That's what that question was.
But he didn't release the raw data.
But he didn't release the raw data.
They didn't release the raw data,
and that's why we're going with Brooke.
Okay, so I mean, it seems also one of their strategies is to run down the clock, and you see how well that worked for the U.S. team in the World Cup. We won't go into that. That can be a disaster. And just the last thing about the upcoming meeting about the SUP path, Mr. Connie Bear recently said to a couple of people we know very well, it's going their final answer. So why are we having this?
The reason, and I just was on the phone this week with Amy Vargas, it is not the final answer.
Okay.
No, and I was with you when he said that, and I reprimanded him.
Yes.
I will not have a dog and pony show for the village for nothing.
Yeah.
That is unacceptable, and I had a long conversation with her, because if I said that's the way we're going to go, it just is impossible. We're not going to do that. If that's what their show was, it was unacceptable to the village, and I'll say that right now. We'll cancel the community meeting, we'll cancel everything, and really get on their case. And she said no. She's been in touch with Governor Cuomo. She wants me to know that everything is on the up and up, and we are going to review everybody's concept. So I went higher than Brian at this stage of the game.
Okay, then if we could just structure the meeting where everybody hears everything at once.
And we will have everybody go around, look, and I will make sure they have an open session at the end.
And one last thing, referring to the answer from Mr. Conybear about the raw data, he did answer the question about the sampling rate. That was one concern we had. And the sensors are sampling at 57 kilohertz, so there's 57,000 measurements per second. So that will very well capture the banging of the pile driver. So that we do know.
Thank you, Andrew.
I was looking at this, where there's a particular monitor is obtaining the data over a 15-minute interval, is what their website says right here, on that particular.
Okay.
Right, for your quality. Right. So I'm curious.
For air quality?
I wonder about the sound as well.
Okay. Go on to the approval of the minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Your name, please?
Jodell, right? With the workshops, are those workshops specifically for individuals in the community to voice their questions?
Yes, anybody can come, absolutely, and voice your questions, look around. We had several concepts handed in from the task force, from our residents, and you go around and you can ask whatever questions you want, absolutely.
And Mayor, can people still submit suggestions to the task force?
I sent one in just this Saturday. I will get. I'll need to talk to Brian about that, because at some point I'll see when the cutoff is. But I did send something.
And is the procedure to approach you or Sally or one of the task force members first?
Either way, I have to send this one to the task force. This was one that he got to me, and so I just sent it in. So I will put it out there when I find out when the cutoff date is.
One more. The feasibility study, are you going to talk about that tonight as well? Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure.
Approval of the minutes, regular meeting June 10th, 2014. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Any changes or comments?
I'll make the motion, approve.
Andrew had a suggestion. So
Who does?
in reading, Andrew was not with us in the meeting, but in reading as he dealt with the section of the Village Hall, needed to have the word painting needed to give clarity to that. So I'm going to add, it's okay with you all, the lowest bidders for painting. The words "for painting" in there to bring clarity to what that discussion is. Okay. And then a spelling correction.
Yes, spelling correction here. TZ Bridge update.
Right. On page what? 2?
There's just an E missing.
Yes, it's just an E missing.
Okay. Let's get it right.
That's all I got. Everything else for the SUP.
Now you may do the changes.
I'll make the motion, we approve the minutes of the meeting with the changes for South Nyack Board of Trustees for Tuesday, June 10th, 2014.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes of our emergency meeting on Tuesday, June 18th? Any changes in that?
I'm sorry, can you just confirm the chapter 57 is the right number? There was some confusion about the actual number. That's the only thing. It's probably a trouble.
I thought Keith said it was chapter 57, but we can double check that. Okay. Do I have a motion to
Yes,
accept?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the emergency meeting of the Board of Trustees dated Tuesday, the 18th of June, 2014, in regard to...
That's it.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
I abstain because I was absent.
Okay, fuel dispensing and storage system review bids.
There is there's no new information there. We're still working on trying to get an old allocation between the village and the PD on exactly how that thing how to communicate. So table for the moment.
Okay. Village hall interior painting.
Yeah, on this one, so you just want to do a resolution to approve the acceptance of the low bid.
Which Hudson Home Improvement. What? No, we approved it pending our lawyer check to make sure.
You're right.
So now we have to.
Yeah, but so there's a caveat to that. The resolution was
I'm not sure what happened. All you need to do is, if there wasn't a resolution done last time, you can just ratify the decision. I don't think that there's an agreement.
Do you want to do that along?
I'm not sure exactly what that means. Is there not a resolution from last time? That was made pending?
No, there's not a.
I don't believe it.
All right.
No.
Well, there should be.
You want to make a resolution now?
Well, I mean, I think that's already done. I guess we have to.
Well, we got the approval from Keith to say we could go ahead with it.
That was after the meeting.
Our attorney said we could go
After
ahead
the
with
meeting.
it. Right.
Yeah,
So should we say with the approval of the attorney checking on the one man, that was the one person who was going to be doing the painting, that we then hired the Hudson Home Improvements at $3,500?
Yes.
Is that it?
That's
Okay, can I have a second to
I'll
that?
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that, Mom, you made that.
I did. We were talking about the Knickerbocker benches, and we tabled that till we had Andrew here because some people felt that they didn't want to take it as a gift because it looked like a gift. Other board members thought it's a gift, let's just do it. So I'm bringing it back to the table again.
You saw the okay.
So Andrew, I guess I'm looking for your opinion.
So my understanding is it's going to be a gift from the Thruway Authority to the village, is that correct?
That's correct.
Not Tappan Zee Constructors, from the Thruway Authority.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. And did they suggest a number of benches and
They did
placements?
not. They
Completely
just said,
open-ended?
would you look at them? And they would pay for them.
My thought
And
is,
you know what? I'm not so sure it is the Thruway Authority. I'd like to look that one. Because it was coming from Brian, I don't know.
Maybe coming out of the 20.
It may have been coming out of the 20 million, so I don't want to say.
Yes, but in the 20 million, just for clarification, and I might be adding more confusion here, but the Thruway Authority has the right to, and they handle the community benefits plan as it impacts villages and towns. The Tappan Zee instructors handle the $10 million part of the community benefit fund as it pertains to residences. That's how they've made their distinction.
Okay. All right. I would. I'll check that out. But at that point, does that make a difference on how you would feel about accepting the
overall,
benches?
no. Well, let me say what I think.
Okay.
And I've heard the arguments over the last couple of meetings, and it seems there are two schools of thought. One is that we should not accept the benches because if we accept this, then it will be a PR coup potentially for the Thruway Authority, and who knows what we could have got if we held out. There was some tone that came out of the meeting a month ago. On the other hand, there is the thought that, okay, it's a gift and we should accept the benches as a gift. So my view is that we don't know, or we hopefully cannot assume that there are some ulterior motives here. And I prefer to work not in a belligerent fashion, and to see it as a gift. And as a trustee, I have to look out for the benefits of the community as a whole. And I don't really see saying, no, we can't accept these benches as, it's not a position of good faith negotiation going forwards. I think if we operate from a goodwill position, we're better off in the future. So that's not to preclude us still going after pushing for information and action when we need it on other issues. But as to the benches, I think that if it's a gift to the village, that it would benefit the village overall, and I will be in favour of accepting them.
Okay.
Now that said, I think we could double up here, and we know a lot of people use the trail, and potentially, if we do vote to accept the benches, we could have them positioned at sort of like half a mile, 1 mile from the start of the trail. So useful for the joggers and the cross-country teams that go down there.
Okay. Tom?
Well, my nature is, I think that Thruway has shown its true colors in that they're really not to be trusted as far as I'm concerned. And I just feel that there might be an ulterior motive on their part regarding these benches. And I don't know what their motive is. And I'm just a little suspicious of anything that they're going to give us. Will it be bounced back in us and look what we gave you, or we've given, and we're trying to work with you? I guess, like I say all the time, my mother named me correctly. I'm a doubter, and I'm still not 100% sure. I agree with what Andrew says. I try to be open with them and try not to act like we don't want anything to do with them. But I just wonder what the final motive is, and I'm just not sure.
Milan?
I think I've made my position clear. Let me just sort of rephrase. I don't think it's that there's an ulterior motive and that we're trading down to this. I think it's a war of attrition. I think it's just one little piece that they're going to put in their list of things. And I don't see that the benefit to the village is so significant that it's worth it. Honestly, I would prefer to say pleasantly, thank you, we appreciate, so it sounds nice. But I think ultimately we're probably better served by not indulging them.
Kathy?
Well, I'm taking the position that we should accept the benches. It doesn't mean that we don't come to the table with our pencil sharpened, our positions firm on other issues that are important to us. This is a gift they're offering. People can benefit from it. We in the village aren't in a to sit at the table and have the kinds of tough conversations that we've had and will continue to have with them relative to what's in the best interest of the village at large and a whole myriad of things. And this would be something that is lovely and can benefit the community. So I vote yes.
So am I the breaker?
Well,
or do you want to table it? It's not a decision we have to make.
No, but in the light of the whole idea of this $5 billion project, a few benches to me is a pittance. I mean, as far as, you know, if they said yes, we're going to repave Broadway for you at a cost of $350,000, and I'd say that sounds good to me because that's a real benefit. A few benches up on the walkway, well, I think in light of the whole situation, I think it's kind of like a little stingy.
Well, it's stingy also when you consider the resource. We might make the argument that whatever the cost, the resources could better serve the village, however tiny it is, in some other way, protecting against real specific, you know, problems that we already have. I mean, you know, that's not going to help people with noise or particulate matter or anything else, having those benches. It's a tiny thing, I agree, but I think it doesn't feel right.
Just table it for a while. Let's get.
There's no rush.
No, and let's get the more important things taken care of first. TZ Bridge update. In my update this week, I did put in about, and we discussed the coming up at the community meeting. I'm looking to get a date, and as I said in my update, they're in Virginia and they're in North Carolina, so I'm looking to get a July date, and again, if we don't get the residents there because they're on vacation, we really need to have the second meeting. So that's where that is. What else was I going to talk about here?
Can I ask a clarifying question here about the Catholic City? I know that there have been a number of issues that we've been raising here at the village board regarding wanting to have community meetings for the SUP, of course, is one topic. The other topic was the land sound barriers, and then the third is the permanent trestle that will be placed adjacent to the bridge. That will be the size of 4 football fields. And I know that that at this moment that the Thruway Authority is interested only in speaking to the community about the possible terminus for the shared use path. Is that correct? Is that everybody else's understanding? Yes. So that we would ask for multiple meetings anyway. If the Thruway Authority wants to have an exclusive meeting only for the SUP, we can grant that, but we would continue to insist on a community meeting for the other topics important to, and it may very well also be at that point where we would like to talk more publicly about what the information that we gathered on the sound barrier, the sound system analysis.
Annie, you would ask me to bring up something. What was that?
It was the feasibility study, the 250,000.
The feasibility study, the task force, and I'll segue into 2 new members that I'd like the board to appoint, is going to meet with Paul Brennan Thursday night. He has a draft of the feasibility study.
The RFP.
The RFP. So we're going to be dealing with that on Thursday night, and I will have more to report probably in the next 2 weeks. This is just the draft, and it's quite a complicated legal document. So, and segueing into that, I put in for 2 weeks. I have 2 good candidates that I would like to appoint to the task force. One is Greg Tulin, who lives at 14 Nielsen Avenue.
He's worked with the task force before. He came in with some good ideas. He's a surveyor. He has 10 years experience. He's used to working on capital working projects, and he's involved with the Second Avenue Subway project, and I think he's an excellent person to add. The second person I would like to add to the task force, to appoint to the task force, is Nancy Willen, and she lives at 43 Cedarville Avenue. She has just retired from a 16-year career with the town of Clarkstown. She dealt with superintendent of highways. She was the right-hand person to the superintendent, and her experiences on various committees: Drainage Task Force, Traffic Safety Advisory Board, Townwide Comprehensive Plan and Transportation Committee, and she also took part in our workshops with the task force. So I'd like to appoint those two people as an addition to the task force.
Mayor, can I ask how many candidates you received?
These two.
Ah.
I got it out there.
Is it closed?
Yes, it was closed as of 5 o'clock today. But I'm happy with the two candidates that came forth. They were working with the task force. They've come to several of the meetings. I'm happy that they wanted to be part of it, and they have the time to do that.
So there were no other inquiries sent to the advertising of the positions which you sent them. Are we ready then to vote? Or further discussion on this?
I just have to appoint them.
You appoint them, but we have to approve that, is that right?
My appointees to the task force. Two new appointees, Nancy Willen and Greg Tulin. Do I have a second?
Or who's making the motion?
Well,
You're making the appointment and then we're making...
one of us has to make a motion.
You have to make a
approve.
motion to approve the appointees.
These are the only two. But yeah, Greg, I know Nancy too. I'll make a motion to accept the mayor's appointment of Nancy Willen and Greg Tooley as additional members of the Tappan Zee Task Force.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Can I get back to the feasibility study? I just have
Yes.
a quick question.
Yes.
Just for my own clarification, the feasibility study is a document that's written in a particular format that follows particular guidelines that we have to follow in order for us to be able to apply the $250,000 that we received to actually engage in a study for Interchange 10.
It's not only Interchange 10. It's for economic development.
Okay.
It includes South Nyack. It includes Interchange 10, but it also includes the shared path use.
Okay.
It includes other things.
Okay.
So it's just not Interchange 10.
And at what point do we discuss what is the content of this? I mean, or is it just global that it's presented in the RFP, just as you've mentioned it, or does it get more specific?
It will be more specific, and you will see that when the final RFP is done. It will have to go before the board, and you will have to approve this.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So that RFP is being designed to be compliant with the agreement that we made with.
Yes, it's got to have guidelines.
Right, as per
right.
that
Yes.
contract that we signed. Okay.
And we expect that when it goes out for bid, the companies that take it up will, one of them may focus on one aspect more than the other.
They have to come back and tell us exactly what. Yes, you're correct.
Right, then we have to go through all the proposals.
Yeah.
Right.
Can more than one company bid on this?
Oh, absolutely. We're sending it out to bid.
Okay. Can more than one company be appointed in almost a multi-dimensional
Can we split
way?
the funds, you mean?
Because you're splitting area?
I'm not sure you can do that.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay, so our hope is that we would be appointing a firm, or I'll use the term firm, that would have multidisciplinary staff that would have expertise in these multiple
Correct,
areas.
and in the RFP, it also says what type of person that you can go by.
Thank you.
They have guidelines for that.
But the question would be, is there anything specifically in the contract between the village and I think it's actually the state that precludes splitting those funds across
I didn't
multiple
see anything
vendors?
in there of that. I did not.
Would that be typical, Keith, or I mean,
No, it wouldn't be typical to have.
it may not be in our best interest to, to split it up anyway, but I
I
wonder
just wondered if there was flexibility in doing that.
It would be dictated by that contract, presumably,
Yeah,
right?
but I think, it's also a question to ask of Paul, whether there would be any logic, if there was that capability, whether there would be a logic to designing the RFP.
Oh, so that it was in pieces.
To have that capability.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay, I will ask that
But he's
question.
the expert on that stuff. so-
Right, okay.
Right, that's a good point. So even if it's allowed in the contract, and if it's something we thought we might want to pursue, the RFP should be designed in such a way that it packages out the pieces in
Right.
a way that makes sense.
Right, because, again, whether this might or might not make sense, but it could be designed so that you could make a proposal with regard to the entire package or a piece of it.
Right.
So that, again, that would be the
Okay.
best one.
Yeah, and also what you whether that would even be wise.
Well,
It might be
even
that you
if
find
it's
that by
feasible.
splitting it up, you
Right.
may end up getting a less than the sum of the parts. Don't know. Okay.
Okay. Communication advisor, oh no, Nyack College, I'm sorry, Nyack College. We have a request here from the Nyack College that they would like the following road to be closed on August 31st, 2014, Upland Drive from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. There will be a move-in block party for the students to move into their Nyack College campus.
The whole of Upland, meaning from the corner, the Bradley Parkway corner, down to South Boulevard.
That's
Largely
the
on
way
there.
I read it. Okay.
Did we do this last year?
No.
Not
It didn't come up last year.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the first,
But it's really, so it's essentially a block party request.
it seems like a moving party, but
Well-
I guess the kids are going back.
But what they're asking is for the road to be closed, so I guess my thought is that we have a typical scheme for block parties where we don't require anyone to give a certificate of insurance, typically because it's just residents on a block. In this case, though, all the properties on that area, on both sides of the street, are owned by the college. Do we ask the college in that case for a certificate of insurance as we would for a larger event? It's kind of, in my mind, a little bit in between. My thinking is that it probably doesn't hurt because they can do it easily, right?
Very easy.
And that would be okay for us to do that, even though regular block parties, we don't ask for that. We're not treating them unfairly in that way, I guess is my question.
Well, I don't know, I think you are.
Yeah, a little bit. But at the same time, we can't ask, if someone wants to have a block party on their block, we can't ask them for a $4 million or $2 million policy. That's that we never have.
It's a very long block.
It's a very long block, and it's
Kind of
completely
block.
encompassed within the campus of Nyack College, and I would
And I don't
imagine
think it is a block.
well,
It'd be 3 or 4 blocks.
yeah, I guess that's true.
It's a street.
Well, to that end, it's an event, and if it's an event, then we can ask for. We can. We typically do ask for a certificate of insurance named to the village.
What do you think? You don't look like you agree with that.
No, I don't see any.
So one factor that we might want to think about in relation to this insurance is, my reading of the letter is they want to put basically barriers up to close the road off. And I'm guessing they're going to have student volunteers directing traffic around the barrier and directing cars over here, unload here, and walk across the road. So what happens if it's on a village street and someone happens to get hit by a car?
Bro, we have that same situation with a block party. What we do for a block party is Jimmy comes the day before and puts horses out and barrels, and the residents, when they're ready, put them up and block the road. And that's it. It's still all village property. The road is technically closed to vehicular traffic, but it is done by the residents. They put it out there. They tell people, and if someone lives there, they obviously let them get to their driveway. And we don't ask for a separate insurance policy because it's impractical in that case. In my mind, I think this is not a residential block party. This is a event sponsored by the college, and it's not reasonable to use those guidelines.
May I suggest with the word block and up in there?
Yes, right.
We wouldn't be having this discussion. We just
I think you might be right.
Party in Upland Drive.
Well, the request to have the road be closed. That's essentially a block party request.
Well, as a practical matter, I think you're right. There's no, they can push a button and give us your insurance certificate, so I see no reason.
And we don't think that's going to make them think we're treating them unfairly.
I don't think there's anything untoward about it. It's perfectly appropriate. I don't see, and it's not a.
They're the one property owner on that road.
They are the one property owner.
Right. Okay.
How long a road is it?
It goes from behind Skyle and Lodge Bradley, and it comes down to South Boulevard. I don't, in front of Christie. Exactly what part of that they're going to block off, I don't know, but I don't believe that there's any properties on that road that are not owned by the college. There are in general up there, but I think not on that road, right?
Well, technically.
No, Bruce.
Bob Love's backyard ends on that road.
Yeah.
As does the neighborhood.
I think we should treat it like an event and approve it contingent on the providing a certificate of insurance, naming the village, as we do for any other event on village property.
Emergency vehicles still can get in there, right?
Right.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so you can just close it out, so. Andrew?
So the Communication Advisory Committee met for its 6th meeting on the 29th of May, and just about the sole topic of discussion was social media. I personally am not a social media user. However, 3 of the committee members are, and argued very vigorously for social media presence. That being said, the village already has a Facebook page. So at the meeting, it was a very hands-on meeting. Michelle Palila-Lockett, who's the head of social media at Wiley Corporation, helped to consolidate the various Facebook presences that the village had. And one comment summed it up very well to me was said by Denise Mishkol, that is it a big time sink to post things on the Facebook page? No. Is it necessary? Yes. And that's a reflection of there being 1.28 billion users of Facebook apparently. And another person had the comment that it's the best way to reach many people, and it's almost the expected way to reach many people. So since there's already a Facebook page and Denise is already posting to it, we saw no reason not to continue down that road, and saw it mainly as a driver to push people towards the website that would have the full information, so the postings could be just short snippets to point people to the website. And we could also use it to help explain to people what village life is like, and to communicate emergency information if needed. So the Facebook page is active, and you can search for it and find it and follow it and like it and those sorts of things. And Michelle is going to draft a couple of community guidelines to help people understand how to use the Facebook page in terms of posting, because we do understand that people can comment on anything that's posted there.
Who's going to monitor the comments on a daily basis? Is that Denise?
The recommendation was that the village should remain passive regarding comments, so not to respond to them. In my mind, there's enough avenues already existing to talk to village officials. For example, the telephone, walk into Village Hall, email addresses are posted. So that's what we thought about Facebook. Very brief discussion about Twitter and Instagram, but there wasn't any feel for needing to start accounts on behalf of the village for those. And then lastly, Michael Lockett, who's Michelle's husband, is a professional graphic designer, and he has designed, or he showed 3 or 4 different drafts of a village logo, and Denise was tasked with working with them more closely on the one that we thought was the best one. And we have a list of action items related to the Facebook page and whatnot. So that's the meeting at the end of May. So two other things, and the first one is concerts in the park coming out. Yes.
Well, just before you do the concert in the park thing, when people make comments on Facebook page, is there any parameters with which there is a certain tone or decorum that has to be used, or is that totally relaxed?
So that's a great question. That's what the community guidelines section is for, and it's to explain the boundaries, the civility, profanity. That there is a mechanism, I understand, to erase comments, but the village.
This is the problem that we have that I would want to look into, which is what is the responsibility that the village takes as the owner of that page for the comments that people leave. And this is a huge problem in the industry. It's not just the village. It's the New York Times and everybody else who allows comments. One option is to say, we don't police them, anybody can put whatever we want, and we're not looking at them, so it's not our problem, but I'm just not sure that you can do that. And so the problem then becomes, if you're going to have guidelines, then you need to police those guidelines, and who's going to sit down and do that? Now, I don't know, the volume of comments may not be so much that that's not something that's manageable, that Denise can do every morning, first thing when she comes in, do it once a day. I don't know. But I think we need to find out what the responsibility of the village is for the comments that are left.
Are the First Amendment issues come up by any chance in this case? That, are we, No. Okay. No.
So we can follow.
I mean, Facebook themselves will police it for sure, right? They must have some lower bar that, which they're watching in whatever way they do it. But there's middle ground. I just don't know, as someone who stays very carefully away from it, what the impact would be to the village. We need to be a little careful.
And that's it. The next meeting, when Michelle has drafted the guidelines, we can discuss it with her further.
Yeah,
Denise,
she's the one who would know best, I think.
Right.
What
and Keith is saying we can instill guidelines.
Well,
do we have the resources to enforce them?
Well,
that's the question.
But even before that question arises, I think that you have to grapple with the question about how comfortable are you with the possibility that you're going to have a derogatory material or who knows what comes up there. So you have that issue, and then you have the potential liability issue.
Well, I think derogatory material, if it's simply stating a position, it's an opinion, that's fine. I don't see any reason that we want to scrub it clean so it makes the village look great. My question is, though, if there's something said about somebody else, a third party, and it's posted on that site, we're the ones who are sort of, responsible for that site. And if there was a suit regarding that, where would our responsibility?
Well, to some extent, that's an insurance question. And I can pretty much guarantee you that the insurance consultants are concerned.
Yeah. Every time we want to do anything, they say you can't do it because that's because they're protecting themselves. But
But it's the question really is, if there is a lawsuit, are you covered?
Right.
Not will there be a lawsuit, because the answer is yes, there will be a lawsuit.
Understood.
Always assume there'll be a lawsuit. So the question then is, are you covered?
So maybe the answer is an insurance question that says, are we covered? And if we are, then we don't have to worry about anything. We just let it go
then
the
you
way
can
it
certainly,
works.
if you want to do this, you're going to see how it works. If something.
Why don't you check Sally with the insurance company?
Well, I checked with our insurance advisor.
Okay.
Yes,
absolutely.
the advisor, not the company.
And in fact, that may be something, conversation we might have together.
I would be happy to come in and have that conversation with him. But he's not funded.
No. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh no, that's all good points. Okay, so this coming Sunday is the first of the concerts in the park, and we talked when I reported maybe a couple of months ago on a discussion we'd had in the communications committee. There was a recommendation to have a village table out there where the trustees present wear their new little name badges, and at the break in the middle, assuming there is a break, there can be an announcement to come and chat to village officials over at the table, and then the music carries on. So I'd encourage that.
And getting email addresses.
Right, you have to sign it.
Getting email addresses, so we have to work out how to get a table there. If we can maybe use
We
one
could do something.
Yeah.
from the firehouse, a couple of chairs maybe,
That's fine.
and have the name tags available. Okay.
Does everybody have their name tags? Okay.
No, I mean, I saw it.
Oh.
Did the village also? Okay. Okay.
And the third item is related to video recording. And personally, I'm very much in favor of recording the board meetings and posting them in some fashion online. And I benefited from it at the meeting I couldn't attend last time, 2 weeks ago. I was able to watch the video, and it's as if I was here, which was great. So we've been talking to Dina Moore, who taped the meeting last time, and I've been talking to a couple of my neighbours, one of whom is a video-related teacher, AV teacher at a high school. And we're getting ideas on equipment and the resources that would be required. And we're going to be discussing videotaping in particular at the next communication meeting.
Good. And you're looking at different types of cameras.
Correct.
Great. Good idea. Good. Anything else?
That's it for now.
I just have a question. Anna Hammond had emailed me about the tree committee, and I haven't heard any reports on what's happening there.
I have not heard much from Eric. He was here, and they were talking about doing some trees up the end there. I want to talk to him. There are 2 trees that I think everybody here knows, Palma and Elysium, that are going to come down that are going to make a fairly good-sized hole in what's otherwise a nice canopy. And they're both requested by the property owners next to them. One of whom is going to plant a tree in her front yard. The other one, he's thinking about it, and I suggested to him that maybe get Eric up there, or we'll get him up there to talk about what trees could be planted on village property in that case.
Well, maybe I'll have her call him directly.
You can have her call him or me, either one.
Okay.
I'm sort of trying to help facilitate him so he doesn't have to deal too much with other stuff.
Okay.
But either way, it's fine. I mean, she lives right there.
That's fine. Okay.
But it exists, it's going, we're talking, but there's no trees to show for it.
Right.
That's
She
your
was
question.
asking what's happening with it. Okay. Great. Payment of abstract?
No, wait.
I'm sorry.
You got that.
Go ahead.
Did anybody go to the Rockland County Main Street and Riverfront Summit?
I did. The mayors were invited, and the county officials. The Rockland County Executive Ed Day put this on, and it was basically folks who are interested in revitalizing main streets. I know that Nyack has hired a consulting firm to look at how they can revitalize their town. And they talked about bringing people in for shopping and having and tourism. And there's not, the Hudson Valley has very little tourism, and they're trying to get that going at a better pace, and how we need to look at the types of shops the towns have, the different trails that we have that people can come and visit, looking at inns in the different areas of New York and what we offer for entertainment. They were talking about branded attractions where we have close by West Point and those type of things. Again, there's not much touring in the United States, where if you go to Europe, people are touring all over, and we're not getting that. And they're looking at developing villages to be more homey. If you're having your shops should have flowers. If you see in Europe, there's a lot of flowers all over the different shops. They're very welcoming. That New York State needs to do something with their scenic roads so that people feel that it's worthwhile for them to travel through the state, and in the county in particular. We do have access to railroads. Some gentleman brought up how, he was like the idea of river cruises. They have the Circle Line, but if you had some river cruises that kind of went up and down, you went to West Point and around, or you go up to Newburgh, to the harbor there, and you get off to have lunch, you eat on the ship, the boat. They were talking about things of that nature. what makes a successful village. You know, you have to have the shoppers and the tenant mixture. So when you have shops, you really need to have very nice apartments with good tenants above it, so they look presentable and welcoming for people to come into your town. They talked about how real estate values go up when you have a retail density that brings people in, and you have to look at where your retail sales, where you want them to be, what type of people you want to come into your town to shop, parking access. So they talked about, and one lady was quite funny, she said, you know, Hudson Valley tourism, you can't outsource that. That's ours. So that's basically what they talked about. And there'll be more, I think there's going to be more workshops on that. They invited the officials, the trustees. I have put notes, and anybody who's welcome to go with me. So.
And you mentioned trails, and just to let the board know, tomorrow evening, Alan and I are going to be attending the Rockland Rivertown Communities Council, and one of the topics they look at is Greenway trails.
Right, the Greenway trails. Great.
So hopefully at the next meeting we'll have something to report.
Yeah, I mean, we know a little bit. We're attached to the trail they're doing. I've got some signage from the last meeting. The signs on the trail are being re-looked at anyway right now. So it's, you know, there's not a huge pot of money there anymore, but there is, you know, it's good to be connected. It's basically all the riverfront villages plus West Haverstraw. So I don't know exactly why.
Mayor, when you're talking about this economic development in the Hudson Valley, is that also something that would be woven into the RFP?
Most definitely.
Okay.
The other thing I just want to mention is that I had a conversation with our chief of police. He has ordered tickets to give bicyclists. They have been giving bicyclist tickets for either riding 2 and 3 abreast, not adhering to the laws. So now that the weather is nicer and you're going to see more bicyclists out, they are looking at that very heavily and watching for us.
So when you say you ordered tickets, are there special types of tickets?
Yes, the village has ordered special types of tickets for bicyclists, yes. So they should be in any day.
I have a couple things.
Surely.
Or are you still going?
I commend the police for doing this. I have to say, I commend the police for doing this. I am not an anti-cyclist. I've cycled myself vigorously for 20 years, but I have found, as so many of us in the audience has found, sitting at the table, that cyclists do impulsive things, disregarding traffic laws, and put their own life in jeopardy and the jeopardy of the person behind the wheel. And there doesn't seem to be enough, accountability for those violations. And I just have to thank the police for making an effort to keep everybody safe, cyclists and pedestrians and drivers.
Question, I don't know if you want to talk about the dog park, Alan, is that on your list?
No, it's not on my list.
So just if I understood correctly, there is a question, I don't think it was addressed last time, about the gravel, potentially buying gravel.
Pea gravel.
And the question over whether the Park Conservancy could buy it or if the village should buy it. And if I understood the reasoning, the village doesn't pay sales tax, but the...
No. When I spoke with the Park Conservancy, they simply said that they had found in their experience that it was better for them to make a targeted donation to the municipality so that the municipality buys it, thus relieving them of any liability. If there's ever a problem, everybody's going to sue anybody that they can put a name on.
Okay.
And this just takes one person out of the mix, so they preferred that method. If we use them to help raise funds, that's the way they're going to want to do it. And so, that's sort of where it stands. I've been conversing with them and with Wayne as sort of the leader there, and it looks like everybody seems agreed along the lines of what we talked about, just a graded pea gravel and edge. And so the trick now is, and we've got some real numbers on what that would cost. The trick now is to get them to, come up with some type of fundraising scheme. And what the Conservancy has said is they would be happy to be a vehicle to use, logistically for fundraising. They're not going to do a fundraiser for it, but they will allow the donations to flow through them as a 501c3. But they would retain a small percentage to cover their overhead, which I think is reasonable. And that's where it stands. There's still a lot of talk about exactly what to do and so on and so forth.
Thanks.
I have one thing. I think we have to tip our hat to the people from the DPW on that property that we had over for people who aren't aware, that we had what's called a zombie property in South Nyack, and that was highlighted in the Journal News last week. I wasn't really familiar with that term, but it's a property here that was left to go downhill. I mean, it went more than downhill. It went over the cliff, and the people from the board and the attorneys, they came up with an answer to it, and the DPW people were the men that had to go in there and clean it out. I mean, and I went back there, and the mayor and I were back there, and even though they had cleaned it out, it was a situation that's just deplorable. I mean, it was so bad that the Board of Health had to come down and put fish in the swimming pool to take care of the insect problem. So that's really reaching a stage where it had gone way beyond anybody's independence to do whatever they want with their property. But I mean, they took out truckloads of stuff out, and there's still probably truckloads in there that have to go out. But they did a bang-up job, and I'm certainly proud of them.
This is a preliminary report that I would like to just go into the record. Jimmy will give us the detail with dollar amounts in there. There was before and after photos, the timeline of what was taken out, just so that it's on record as having been done. Yeah, it's right there. That includes pictures after the fact that a 5-foot high chain link fence was erected in the pool, into the pool deck around it. There's no gate in the fence, so you cannot get in the pool. All the debris has been removed with the exception of the vehicles, and all the foliage has been cut down and removed. It was multiple loads.
Yeah.
It took them a couple days. I would and they asked me if they could have overtime to finish it up a few hours because they wanted to get the fence guy in first thing Monday morning. So, so far our out-of-pocket cost is the cost of the fence itself from Anchor, which I think was $2,600, minus the $150 we got for recycling all their metals, depending on how that goes, and the in-kind contribution of our labor, which is being documented, because if in fact there's a lien placed on the property tax, we need to know what the value of that labor was, and it was like 6 or 7 man days, I would say, but it's done. I have a couple of quick things, just as an update. I want everybody to look at the Broadway sidewalks. All of the mismatched things have been cut by a contractor, which I think came out really, really well, and we should continue doing that for those that we can. You'll see them. They take a sideways saw and they cut it down in a way that keeps the pitch, acceptable for ADA compliance and so on. The total cost for doing all of Broadway was under $2,000, which is very reasonable. We looked at buying such a saw and doing it. The payback isn't worth it. They come with a truck that even has a vacuum system to try and capture as much of the dust as possible, and they just go from end to end and do it by day. So we may want to continue doing that. I think it looks good, but you'll be able to notice it if you look on Broadway. Voorhees has been milled, you may have noticed, and is going to be paid. That's FEMA money still. It should come back shortly. That's Voorhees to the bottom where it collapsed, and FEMA's paying for it because of the fact that we had to replace the cache basins on Piermont. That's all going to be paved. And the trail material has to be purchased by the 27th, and then that will be covered too. So we're going to have new sand for the trail. Whether it will be laid down immediately or not, I don't know. But it will be purchased. It will be purchased by the end of the week, and within a week or two, it should be laid down.
It's actually sand.
He calls it sand. I think it's actually going to be item, I assume. Right? I don't know.
Which part of the trail?
Starting here, presumably what's in the village, which would go, to that point
There's going to be a
Just
new
before
layer
summer.
of the gravelly stuff.
Yeah, well, we'll see exactly. Yeah, it's a new layer of the gravelly stuff. We'll see how much has to get pulled up, because where it gets run and tamped down, obviously you have to deal with that. So I don't know, but the material should be in our hands this week, and then sometime soon. You know, we don't want to do it in the middle when there's going to be a concert. We don't want it to be half done. We may wait till after that. That's all I have.
Kathy, anything?
No.
Andrew? Okay. Payment of abstracts, number A14-2025, general fund, $14,890.96. Number B14.25, police, $2,008.15. Number A15.02, general fund, $18,804.39. Number B15.02, police, $21,723.98. Do I have?
Motion to pay the abstracts.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Andrew, one of the things, just before I bring the meeting to a close, some of the folks who have been on our website have, and I'm one of them, I would like to get a picture of the Tappan Zee Bridge from the Rockland side and not the Westchester side. And I think Denise is working on that. And the other thing is the ink is, I believe, in gray, and it's kind of hard to read. They'd like it in black so it stands out better. I think those are easy fixes, but I've had several comments on that.
Okay.
We also mentioned, Denise, that if you want to take a photograph of the Tappan Zee Bridge from the roof of one of our buildings, then you have a very nice panoramic view of what's going on.
I think we should do that because it also shows the current
Right.
situation
Right.
rather than being a beautiful.
Right,
you know,
right.
How do we go about arranging that?
Just
Well,
give me
you call
give me
either
a call.
Kathy or myself,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we'll get a hold of the super and
I
access to
think that was a great idea, that we look at it as
But we
is.
want to see all those crayons and stuff.
Yes,
That's what we're going for.
Yeah.
And I
I
mean,
think so.
this
That's
is
what we're living
it
with.
today.
This is reality.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. These are the DPW ones that I did not sign.